and white stands beneath a willow tree, her long hair clinging to her face, her robe soaked as if she has walked through rain that no one else remembers falling. In her arms is a bundle wrapped in cloth. She does not look threatening, only exhausted. "Please," she whispers, "just for a moment." Those who take the child say it feels light at first, then heavier and heavier, until their arms tremble under a weight no infant should possess. When they look down, the bundle is no longer a baby, but a stone slick with river mud, and the woman is gone. Before she was Ubume, she was called Mizu. She lived in a village where winter lasted too long and rice never lasted long enough. Her husband had died building roads for a landlord who never remembered his name. She was left alone, pregnant, starving, and already indebted for the coffin she could not afford. There are choices poverty forces upon the desperate, choices that stain the soul. When labor pains began, no midwife came, no neighbor knocked. Mizu lay alone in a collapsing house, bleeding onto straw. She screamed for help until her voice cracked. No one answered. Because in villages like hers, grief is common and compassion is expensive. By dawn, the child had been born, but Mizu had not survived. The baby's cries echoed through the empty house for hours before finally fading. The villagers later claimed they had heard nothing. It is easier to deny suffering than to carry it. That denial became the seed. In many traditions, a woman who dies in childbirth must be buried with care. Prayers must be spoken. The infant must be named. Mother and child must be acknowledged, or their spirits cannot separate cleanly from the living world. But Mizu received no rights. The landlord ordered her buried quickly to avoid bad luck. The baby was placed in the same shallow grave. No incense, no blessing, no name. Something essential was left undone. When a life begins and ends at the same moment without witness, the boundary between realms fractures. A mother's final instinct to protect does not dissolve simply because the body fails. Without ritual release, that instinct has nowhere to go. It curdles, it wanders, it searches. Ubume is not born from hatred. She is born from interruption. A maternal instinct severed mid-breath, and when something sacred like birth is denied its natural closure. The law of life that children bury parents, not the reverse, is inverted. Nature recoils, and what recoils leaves a mark. After her burial, travelers began reporting strange encounters near the river where the village washed its clothes. They heard crying at night, not the cry of a woman, not quite the cry of a baby. Something between those who ignored it were followed home by damp footprints. Those who answered it were tested. Ubume does not attack without reason. She seeks arms willing to carry what others refuse to carry. But the child she hands you is not just a baby. It is the weight of neglect, the weight of indifference, the weight of every time someone heard suffering and chose silence. The bundle grows heavier because guilt grows heavier. Men who once turned away from Mizu's house found their arms paralyzed days later, as if still holding something crushing. Women who whispered that her misfortune was fate began dreaming of drowning infants calling their names. And sometimes, when the moon is thin and the river is low, villagers see a woman kneeling at the water's edge rocking an invisible child. If someone approaches with incense and a name spoken gently into the dark, she fades. If someone turns away, she waits. Ubume is not a monster of rage. She is a reminder that the worst ghosts are not born from evil deeds, but from compassion withheld. And if you ever hear crying in the distance after midnight, ask yourself, is it truly a ghost? Or is it something you once chose not to hear?
Some stories are meant to be remembered, not because they are true, but because they remind us of our mistakes. Every curse has an origin, and every origin begins with a human choice. This has been Cursed Origins.